Thank you so much for joining us and always being part of this community, the community that is intentional about growth, the community that doesn't want to leave any woman or man behind, and the community that thrives on your feedback, okay, on your learning, on your growth, on your testimonies. It keeps my heart refreshed and encouraged that we are soldiers and we are fighting and we are not giving up and we are not abandoning our dreams and our future. Thank you so much for joining in. And as we head into this episode, I pray that the peace of God will abide with you. And I pray that against any form of stagnation in your life and any form of delayed decisions that you have been procrastinating, that you have been putting off, that God will bring them to mind, that you'll be able to make decisions to put one foot in front of the other and to be able to accelerate into growth and into wealth and into health and into having good families and a good future altogether. Your dreams are valid. Our dreams are valid and we can get to them. All right, so today we are going to talk about something that is very, very crucial. This is a question that someone asked me recently. We were in the mentorship. For those of you that have not signed up for the mentorship, I don't know what you're waiting for. Currently, we have a discount that is running. The first discount was at the end of the year that we gave for the cohort that has gone on. And then now we have another discount running. So if you want to be able to utilize that discount, please come on. Let's actually get it going. So the Mentorship Academy is for the people that want to create businesses. You already have a business, but you want to revamp it. You want to relaunch it. You want to create a personal brand that is profitable. You want to be able to scale your business. You want to become a coach. You want to become a speaker. You want to communicate with purpose. Okay, you are the people that I shine and be able to unveil to the world. That is my duty. That is all I do. And if that is all I ever do in my entire life, to be able to find your gift that is covered in the rubble, in the soil, and in the lack of confidence, and I'm able to shine it and be able to give you the confidence, be able to tell you you are worth it, be able to tell you that your dream is valid, be able to develop that gift with you step by step, hand in hand, and be able to deploy that gift and be able to make that gift not only just a gift to serve God, but also a gift that can be profitable, out of which you can earn and your life can be thriving. Okay, so that's what I do. That's what we do in Accelerated Mentorship. We meet every Tuesday on Zoom, and then for the people that are in diaspora, and then we meet every Friday that is in person at Media Plaza, 3rd floor at 5 p.m. It's always an amazing time. We pray together, we learn together the strategies, the clarity, and the confidence that we need in order to make it in business, in our personal brands, and in every area of our lives. Okay, so join in and let's talk. You have the numbers on the screen. Make sure that you get to use them. Today I want us to talk about what hinders us, okay, from getting to, because we all, we don't write it down and say we want to be wealthy, but indeed we want financial breakthroughs. We want to make a lot more money. Sometimes we even have written it in numbers, and we're like, in digits, we're like, okay, we want to be able to earn this figure. We want to be able to earn this by the end of this year. So you realize that what we are working towards is not just the financial bit of it, only the bit of it, but there's the wealth that is a whole block of good health, of your work, of your relationships, of your money. Okay, so that wealth is what I am actually looking at. The bigger picture of the wealth is what I am actually looking at. So I want us to be able to look at the barricades. I want us to be able to look at the obstruction or things that obstruct you from getting to that wealth. There are 5 pillars of wealth that I have mentioned so many times, and I've said that wealth is not just about money. Money is just one piece of the puzzle. Okay, so apart from that, there is work, there's relationships, there's your health, there's your space and your environment. It's very, very, very important that you're able to negotiate, that you're able to ask for what suits you and what helps you grow. You can never grow in the same environments that put you down, that hurt you, that trampled over you. Sometimes you need to be able to change, to declutter, to go to another surrounding altogether. So 5 pillars of wealth. But in order to get to those 5 pillars of wealth, and that is how we redefine wealth. When we talk about wealth, most people are thinking about money, but I'm not thinking about money. Where I am at my age, the things that I've been able to accomplish, the lives I've been able to impact, I have found that if I don't have a wholesome kind of picture when it comes to wealth, then I am leaving so many things to chances, and that means I am actually not happy, because happiness is the epitome of everything. So I need to be happy with my relationships. I need to be happy with my work, okay? And that is where accelerated mentorship comes in, because then we get to find what your passions are, what your purpose is, and align your work with what you love. When you wake up every day to do what you love, it ends up not being like work, okay? No one is forcing you to it. You are pulled to it. You are attracted to it. And guess what? You can transform lives, you can impact lives, you can build a brand, and you can monetize it, and it can be profitable, and you live for the rest of your life. Why do you think I love doing the things that I'm doing? Even if no one paid me to do this, I would still do it every single day. Why? Because I wake up every day looking for solutions, just like this gentleman that asked me about why it has been so hard for him. He sees other people are running so fast. They're running so fast towards wealth, but he feels like there's something, a hurdle that is in the middle. Actually, he called it a hurdle that is in the middle. Why is it that he can't skip over all of a sudden to the other side? And I realized there's so many people that are stuck on this other side, and there's a hurdle, there's a ridge, there's a roadblock, there's a barricade in between them and the wealth that they desire to be able to get. And that is what we want to get to talk about today. Okay, so invite your neighbors, call your friend, share this video. If it helps you, click subscribe. Let's learn together and let's spread this information. All right. So when I was thinking about this, I actually thought about my life before I became who I am today, okay? And what stood in between me and the wealth that I so much desired, because we all desire it. Remember the video, Do You Know Who You Are? I talked about us having unique desires. But again, in having unique desires, we all have one common desire of being wealthy, of being happy, of being, all these things. So I knew that at the time I had to make decisions. And I remember I've told you about my story, the carrot story. Some of you don't know the story. For those of you that are new to this family don't know the story. But the carrot story was a turning point in my life where I was in poverty, living in poverty, hand to mouth, and sometimes nothing to nothing. Okay, where you go hungry and there's nothing. It's not like there's a paycheck. It's not like there's, I was at the roughest part of my life. That was a rock bottom where I had to find myself, pick up my pieces, join them together, and then be able to jump back and be able to begin this journey afresh. Okay. So when I was at that point, I made a decision. And I remember one of the decisions, I'm not going to narrate in the so many videos that you will watch, you'll be able to find the carrot story. But I managed to make a decision for myself in the midst of hunger, in the midst of knowing that my family didn't have anything to eat. I'm the firstborn in my family. My mother was not working, and we are 6 siblings. And so I knew that 5 of us didn't have anything to eat. I didn't have anything to eat. They were home languishing. I was in the city. I was in Kyambogo languishing. Now I have to foot from Kyambogo to Chireka, where I stayed. I didn't have any money. I had 200 shillings with me. 200 shillings with me. And so I branched to Banda Market, and I met this lady, and I'm like, I want carrots, because I thought it's the only thing I could get that could actually satisfy me. Maybe 200 then would give me like 4 carrots. And so I thought, okay, 200 200 cannot give me a Rolex, cannot give me anything at the shop, cannot even give me a bun at the shop. So the best option was for me to get the 200 and give to this old lady and told her, give me carrots. She looked at me and had pity on me. And so she decided to give me a bucket, a small bucket full of carrots. And so when she gave me the small bucket full of carrots, definitely I thanked her and I walked. And in my mind, I don't, you know, when you're in those moments, you are not thinking, like your mind is blank because you don't know where to start. You don't know what to do. You don't have who to call. Like you are alone. Like I know I can't call from, you know, people who have rich parents, I mean, when they hit certain roadblocks, they're like, you know what, let me call my auntie, let me call my uncle, let me call my mother. I didn't have anyone to call, not my father, not my mother, not any sibling, because I'm the firstborn. So if I am languishing, I am gnashing, then who am I calling? Okay? So I walk home slowly with my bucket, and I'm not hungry anymore. Like I am not hungry. But the thing is, I know that I will get hungry eventually. So this was like insurance that if I got hungry, I had to eat these carrots, because when you get hungry and you have nothing to eat and you don't have the luxury to eat, to even feel the hunger pangs anymore, that is where I was. So now I move and then I get to my home and to my car room. It was a small room and I had a 3x6 bed. You know, those ones that have these long edges. I got there, I just put the carpets, the carrots down on the carpet, and I remember just, sinking, dipping on the carpet just slowly and, hopelessly. That is why I'm so big on spreading hope, because I have never been at a place where I didn't have hope. It was gloomy, it was dark, okay? It was cloudy, it was cold, it was, I was alone. And so I sink down on the carpet and I start wailing, I start crying uncontrollably, literally, you want to scream, but you cannot scream, and you don't know why you want to scream. You feel like you are at your wit's end. You cannot think anymore. And so in this moment, I make a covenant with myself after crying and crying and crying. And when you start gasping for air after you've cried and you've silenced yourself and you're not thinking, your mind is still blank and everything, it's like there's fog around you. It's like you have nothing to think. I ran out of scriptures. I didn't remember anything about the Bible. I didn't remember anything. But one thing, when I started gasping for air, when you've cried for a long time, and then I made a covenant with God, and I told God, I don't think I want to be in this situation anymore. I want to be in a totally different situation. Now you see, I am making a covenant with God to skip from one end of the roadblock to another end of the roadblock. But there is a hurdle in the middle. And that hurdle was for me to think about the next best solution. Some of us want to think about so many things, but for me, the next best decision that I had to make was to actually find my way to town and look for a job. And I didn't mind which job it was, whether I was supposed to be a cleaner, whether I was supposed to, remember, I'd come back to campus, I was older, I was studying, I was 28 or 29, studying with 19-year-olds and who didn't know what they wanted, and they were just moving around, putting on their high heels, having hostels and frying spaghetti and stuff like that and having house parties. I was here saying, God, I'm trying to put my life together. Give me the grace. I'm trying to put my life together. I don't know where the tuition is going to come from. I don't know where the food is going to come from, but here I am starting from scratch and I'm willing to walk this journey. And so I flew to town the next day, and that is how I get the first thing to do in my life. And I will not go into the rest. But you realize that I had to make a covenant with myself. I had to get tired. I had to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. I had to be sick and tired of being hungry, of sleeping on an empty stomach, of not even having transport, of not having, I had to be sick and tired. Some of us are not tired. Some of us are not tired. And the reason as to why you are not tired, because the things that I'm going to talk about, if you do not get to the edge of being tired, then you can never you can never do the things that I'm going to talk about. For as long as you're still in your comfort zone, for as long as you're thinking you're still dilly-dallying, for as long as you still have people to call on, and people who are tired about your issues, and people who also have their own issues, and so you're becoming a burden on people until you get tired of people just giving you a piece of what they have, and you're like, God, I also want mine so that I can get a piece of that and give to other people. I want to be not just successful, but I want to be significant, until you get tired, until you get angry with yourself and say, enough is enough. Some of the things that we're going to talk about today, you are not going to do, because you will still be in the center of your comfort zone, and yet you have to be at the edge where you are willing to throw yourself over so that you can overcome any situation that you need to be able to overcome. And one of those things is the unwillingness to delay gratification. The unwillingness, some of us, the roadblock that is standing in between the life that we want and the life that we currently have. The wealth that we desire, the relationships that we desire, is the unwillingness, the inability to delay gratification. Like, we want immediate satisfaction. As a young girl, then I had people who were willing to throw a few things at me. It's not that I didn't have them, but I didn't want to sell my soul for just something that was short term, and yet I knew I wanted a long-term success, a long-term significance, a long-term wealth, a long-term happiness. So I didn't want to just get happy in the moment. Even when it comes to the area of relationships, I had, in that moment that I'm talking about, I had people that were pursuing me, people that were willing to take me out, people that were willing to give me money, people that were willing, but people that I didn't love, and I knew that I didn't love. And guess what? They would call me and I would turn down their calls. They would call me and I would be like, you know what? At some point, I was like, you know what? You know when you're in that point and you're like, maybe I compromise. Maybe. And because this person actually genuinely loves me. Because you can know that someone genuinely loves you. It's not that they want you for anything, but someone can genuinely love you and you genuinely don't love them. So I was in that moment where someone genuinely loved me. They were willing to give. They were willing to move the earth. They were willing, because they were also trying to build themselves, but they were somewhere. They were better than me. And they would be willing to bring food. They would be willing to take me out. They would be willing to, but in my heart I was like, you know what? I'm wasting his time. I do not love him. And I do not want him to feel like I used him to survive in the short time moment, because long term, I know I can never be able to submit to him, to respect him, to love him, and to be his wife for the rest of his life. No, I'm not willing to do that. So I'm not even going to lie to him that I can be a girlfriend for a short time. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to lie to him. So I will not pick his calls. I will turn down every invitation. But while you're turning down the invitation, you're actually hungry. But you're like, I would rather be with someone that I love, I respect, and I am honorable about my intentions, being with them, than lying to them. I didn't want to lie. I mean, some people wanted to give me cars. Some people, I was a beautiful girl growing up, okay? But I just didn't feel like I wanted something that could mask my grief, something that could mask my crying. No, I wanted something that was tangible, something that was mine, something that I could hold on for a longer time, something. So I was not willing to just accept any short-time happiness. I wanted long-term happiness. And so many of us, we are willing to make the purchases, the short-term purchases, the luxurious things that we want, the vacations. Like, you're not willing to give those up. You want to embrace everything, to grab everything, to accept everything. And then you're not looking at the long term, that if I want to reinvest, that if I want to make wealth, because money makes money. If I want to reinvest, if I want to make wealth, there are certain things I must sacrifice in the short term in order to actually earn them in the long term. But how many of us are actually willing to do that? To put off what we want in the short term so that we can get what we need in the long term. How many of us are willing to actually do that? Remember, when you're at the edge, that is when you evaluate your willingness. And you're like, you know what? I don't think I want this. I am sick and tired. I have repeated this cycle over and over again. I've been taking short-term things and short-term things and short-term things, and look where they have ended me or where they have brought me. So right now, I don't want any short-term things. I want to be able to delay my gratification so that I can get to what I really, really, really want. I mean, a short-term gratification, all of us have been victims, or we have fallen short in one way or another. And when this actually reminds me of the story of Jacob and Esau, you know, and we're not going to read that scripture, but you all remember how it happened. You know, some of us, we have been told, and there are so many churches that have preached like, oh, he stole the birthright. Oh, he stole the birthright. He didn't steal the birthright. No, he didn't. He was able to delay his gratification. That when he had the food, he was like, you know what, I can give it to you for the eternal birthright. Okay, I can give it to you. I can exchange. I can make this exchange. I mean, I would have put it in my tummy. It would have felt nice. But again, I would want the eternal birthright. So I'm willing to make the exchange. While the other one had the eternal birthright, and he was like, you know what? I would rather. Dear Jacob, I would rather have the food right now because I am super hungry. You know, I would rather go for the vacation because I need to put pictures on Instagram. I need to tell the world that I am wealthy, that I'm okay. Who are you competing with? Who are you comparing yourself with? No one wants to see any pictures. You would rather be happy silent than be everywhere in the world showing off how happy you are. And yet it's short term. No one wants to see that. Okay? So, I mean, he sold his birthright. He was like, you know what? I need something for now. For now. He didn't want to wait anymore. He didn't know, because all of us are like, but tomorrow is not guaranteed. But life is short. But we end up saying life is short, and yet some of us are going to end up living 50 more years. So now you hear, oh, life is short. I might as well just eat all my money. I might as well, why am I saving? You know, people are dying left, right, and center. You don't know what tomorrow holds. You could live for 40 years, for 50 years, and you have chosen the short-term things, and then you become a burden, or sometimes we're not even going to have the luxury to become a burden to anyone, because these days people have learned to draw their boundaries. So now they can tell you, no, what I have is for me and my family. What I have is for my children. What I have, I mean, it's not like I don't have the money. I have the money. But what I have is enough for me and my family. And so where will you be? You'll be like, oh, we had the fun. That is where people end up locking themselves in the stories of the past. Oh, we had the fun. How about you say, I am having the fun right now, okay? After 40 years, after 30 years, after 50 years. But all goes to say that there must be a sacrifice right now that you are willing to make in order to create the long-term wealth that you actually need to thrive in and to have. So you need wealth. You need to create that big picture of wealth that we talked about. You have to delay your gratification. You have to delay your gratification. Number two that I will talk about, and this I have seen in so many ways, and even in the people that I hire, I mean, the inability to negotiate. The inability to negotiate for the terms that you desire as a person. Remember, desire is something that is very important. Very important. And we have unique desires. We all don't have the same desires. But by the time you get to a place and say no. Today I was having this conversation with my husband. For some reason, my second born is in a phase where everything is a no. And I know that for every parent, I think you have gotten to that phase with your child. Because, I mean, I looked at him and I told my husband, I told him that Ariel was very agreeable, like just a few months back, maybe 1 or 2 months back, like all his life. He's been this, yes, mommy, it's okay. I will do this. You tell him, okay, he escorts you to the parking lot at home, and then to where we park, and then you tell him, okay, Ariel, this is enough. This is as far as you can go. Please go back. And he'll be like, okay, mommy, see you later. Please buy me a lion. And then he will make an about turn and go. For some reason, for the past 1 month, whenever he escorts me, and even when I tell him, no, don't escort me, stay in the cartoon house or stay in the main house, I mean, stay, as in make yourself busy. He's like, no, mommy, I'm escorting you. And then all of a sudden, when he escorts you, he says, mommy, I want you. I don't want you to go. I don't want auntie. I want you. Can you stay with me? And then all of a sudden, when you tell him, no, okay, this is as far as you can go, he says, no. I want to escort you to the car. I want to open the car for you. And then when he opens, he wants to be the one to get in. As you're pulling him out, he was like, mommy, no, I want to go with you. And so, like, for him, everything has been no, 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 no. Do you want juice? He's like, no, not right now. I will take later. And I'm like, what's happening? What? As in, so today, I was telling him, I think he has learned in his head that there is such a thing like autonomy. Like, he has a right to decide when he wants something and when he doesn't want it. When I tell him go to sleep, he's like, no, it's not yet my time. And I'm like, what is your time exactly? He's like, no, I don't want to sleep right now. And I'm like, but your siblings are in bed sleeping. He's like, it's okay, let them go. But for me, I will go at my time. And at 11 p.m., he's still awake. At midnight, he's still awake. You tell him to go to bed, and sometimes he's like, I'm scared. And you're like, you tell him the usual cartoons he used to watch, should I put this on for you? He's like, no, I don't want that. I want fire trucks. So I think he has learned that I have the ability, after all, I do not have to say yes to everything that they tell me. Right now, I know what my desire is. If I don't want red juice, that is the juice with hibiscus, I want yellow juice, I will say I want yellow juice. And if I don't want juice, I will say I want water. If I don't want water, I will say I will take water later after eating. So you realize that he's in that phase. And like, I have learned to respect that phase. Of course, not to respect everything. A parent, you cannot respect every wish, because he will tell you, I don't want to eat from the dining, I want to eat from the chairs. And I'm like, no, you're not eating from the chairs, you have to eat from the dining. And so that means I have to exert my boundaries, and he also has to exert his no. And after that, we have to choose who wins. But a parent, you will always win in some of the things that you really don't want them to go overboard. But you realize that he knows his desires, and he knows now to negotiate for his desires. Those times when his sister, he will tell me, but mommy, buy me a cape like today. And I want to bake pancakes tomorrow, so buy me flour and then buy me eggs. And then he would repeat the same thing. But right now, he has learned that he has a person of his own, that when he sends you, he will send you for a lion, and he will tell you, but mommy, the lion has to be breathing. So you look at him and you go with the flow. You're like, you want a breathing lion? You're like, but I can't get a breathing lion. It's like, but go to the zoo, go somewhere, buy a breathing lion. Now he has his own things that he wants, and now he knows that he can have his own desires. Now, so many of us want yeses so much that we can take those yeses at any cost. The people that usually come to ask for to ask looking for jobs or looking to be hired, you know, when you want the job so much that you are willing to settle for anything. Okay? Why? Because you've not taken time to evaluate your value. You've not taken time. I understand that sometimes it's a tactic as an entry point. You're like, you know what? Let me take whatever they are giving me. When I get in there, then I will have a better negotiating ground. I know that happens. But some of us have not used this as a tactic. You're like, you know what? I'm looking for a job. If I expected this amount of money and they're giving me a quarter of it because I want the yes so much, I will take it at any cost. Okay? So, and that happens in relationships. That happens in so many ways. Okay? We just don't stand our ground to negotiate our worth, to negotiate what we really, really desire and what we want. And that is a roadblock between the kind of life that we want. Because you want that kind of life. Remember, I've said that you have to be able, you are a super negotiator. Super negotiator. When someone says, but today you might as well not go to the gym. I know, I've done that. I've played those tricks with Tim so many times. I'm like, you know what? But you go to gym every day. And then all of a sudden he's like, Hilda, no, I must be able to go to gym. Yeah, I must be able to go to gym. Yesterday we were at a birthday party. But while we were driving to go to the birthday party, he was like, what time is it? I was like, it's 2. And then he was like, you know what? 4 sharp, we are setting off because I must go to the gym. Like, who longs to leave a party so early so that they can go to the gym? But you realize he knows his desires, he knows what he's doing, and he knows that he can negotiate with, and he's like, you know what? No. I'm not going to just take what you tell me, but I'm going to stand for what I really want in this. Okay? So you realize that you want to be in a good shape. You want to have a good family. You want to have a good marriage. There are certain things you're going to have to negotiate on, and you're going to stand on your 2 legs and say, no, I do not want this. And one of the reasons that people cannot negotiate is because they are emotionally invested in something. Have you ever been emotionally invested in a party, emotionally invested in a job, emotionally invested in so many things? Even the luxurious things, or even in a group, in a clique of people, and you're emotionally invested. And when they try to negotiate on what you really want, you're also willing to not negotiate back, to stand your ground and say no, to put your foot down and say, no, I am actually not going to do that. That's not like me. So you end up going with the flow. You end up accepting whatever is. Why? Because you have failed to negotiate. And you cannot make wealth like that. You can't. Whether it's the financial bit of wealth, you cannot make it like that. You have to get to a time and say, you negotiate and say, you know what, this is what I desire. Below this, no, I'm not going to take that. Pricing in business. That's about negotiation. Some of us want customers too much, that we're willing to put our prices too low, and yet we know that we are not even getting the results back. We're not getting any profit. You cannot want customers too much that you're willing to negotiate too low on your price, and then you expect that you'll be thriving in business. You are driving that business underneath. You're driving it under. It will collapse with time. You have to get to a time and say, no. You are, it's possible you're not my type of client, my type of customer. Sometimes when a customer says that your services are too high, that means sometimes they're not your target. You are actually targeting a different kind of people. So when you say, no, I'm not going to stoop too low, I'm not going to go too low on my negotiation so that I can't miss the mark, you have to say no. And your no has to be bold. It has to be in capital letters. Okay? I mean, some of us, even in relationships, someone comes and your friends are telling you, oh, he's so good, you know, he's so loaded. Someone was telling me recently that when she goes and tells her friends about the kind of men that are coming to her and they want to settle down with her, and then she goes and tells them, oh, but this guy is loaded, but this guy is so nice, and then this guy speaks about this guy as one who has nothing, the friends will always be like, but it's better to cry in a Benz. It's better to... And then I was like, okay, then do they mean that? I'm like, yeah, they actually mean that. And I was like, any day, I will choose a broke, hardworking person where I see potential, because I know where my desires are. And I know I do not just want to be an object. I want the short-term happiness. I want the long-term happiness. So I will go for what I desire, what I love, and I will say no to something that I don't want. So I will tell my friends, no. In the first place, they don't even have to decide for me. But so many of us, we have let people actually make the decisions for us, okay? So if you want to win in life, okay, you have to force your emotions to follow your reasoning, your mind, your understanding, your discernment. It's not just about that emotions. You know, emotions are fleeting. Emotions, and that's why I say when you decide based on emotions, it's like you are deciding under the influence of alcohol. Okay? Yeah. If you decide when you're excited, if you decide when you're angry, if you decide because you want to please people, if you decide, it's like you are under the influence of a substance, and after some time when you wake up and that substance has evaporated, then you're like, why did I make this decision? Okay? So always force your emotions. You're like, yeah, I'm excited, but what is the right thing to do? I'm angry, but what is the right thing to do? What is logical? What is the reasonable thing to do? What am I discerning? Okay? And what will actually give me the long-term benefit instead of me revenging because I want the short-term benefit. Do you see that? If you really want to create wealth in the real sense of wealth, and wealth not just being the component of finances, but it's so crucial even when it comes to finances, that you have to learn to negotiate. Yeah, you have to. The haggling is going to happen. I'm giving you this, I'm giving you that. I can't take this and I can't take that. That is why when you go somewhere, we're like, but what's your last price? What's your last price? Because we want to gauge whether that is what we are in for it or we are totally out, okay? What's your last price? Why? Because we are not willing to negotiate on our value, we're not willing to negotiate on our desires, and so we're like, you know what, past this, that's not in my budget. That is why you will make some of those sayings, that's outside of my budget. I can't afford that right now. Why? Because you know why you actually came, okay? So don't let, at any opportunity, never let your emotions be in the driver's seat. They are not supposed. Your feelings should not be in the driver's seat. You should be able to decide on your own actions and the things that you want to do. So do not decide based on what you feel. Decide based on what you know. Because what you know is the long term. What you know is the truth. And some of us have created our own truths. Have you ever seen someone who wants to believe a certain truth that is not the actual truth? When you yield to the truth, to the real truth, you reap the benefits of that truth. Because the Bible says that the truth will set you free, but only the truth that you know actually sets you free, all right? So you're reaping the benefit of freedom because you have followed the truth. The fact, what is. But if you let your emotions override, okay? Your emotions are supposed to be indicators. Your feelings are supposed to be indicators. They're not supposed to be making the decisions. Now, if you want to believe according to your emotions, you're like, that person is so bad. Okay, that person is so bad, and all of a sudden you are letting what you believe to be the truth to be the truth, then you are going to suffer the consequences of making the wrong decisions. Because then you are going to maybe part ways with that partner that you wanted so much to believe that they are bad because of a single act that they did, and you dissed everything on the track record of goodness that was created in your lifetime. And so you end up reaping the consequences, the negative consequences, okay, of making a bad decision based on what you wanted to be the truth or what you really desired to be the truth, and yet it wasn't the truth. So I want to ask yourself, is this a fact? Is this the truth? Or is this just boiling feelings, fleeting emotions that will change according to, like the wind, that in the morning I will feel like this, and in the afternoon I will feel different. When I don't know the truth, I will feel like this. I will be enraged. I will be so angry. After knowing the truth, I will sympathize with the person that I was very angry with. So you see, feelings change and emotions are fleeting. So you can never make any decisions based on your emotions. Okay? You can never. So I need you to know, even when you are angry, even when you are furious, even when you are bursting and exploding, I need you to have the time to be logical. I need you to leave room to reason. I need you to leave room, because how can you, because we make wealth, we maintain wealth, we earn wealth, we maintain it, we grow it, okay? You don't just get wealth at once and you're like, I've achieved it. No, there's maintenance. It's like getting into good shape. You don't just get into good shape and you're like, I've got into the kilograms that I want and all of a sudden now I can eat anything. No, you have to consolidate. You have to maintain. And then you have to grow that, okay? That is why people will have a flat tummy and then they will want to go into, getting abs. You're like, but the flat tummy is enough. No, flat tummy is not enough. You have to go ahead and get there is an extra mile and an extra mile and an extra mile. So if you learn to negotiate, okay, if you learn to negotiate, then you are actually able to nail it. That this is my desire, and I'm not going to decide based on feelings and emotions, but I'm not going to desire for the yeses so much that I'm willing to take them at any cost. Okay. So I need you to look at your business, your marriage, your children, okay? Bringing up children, very good children, very good citizens. That takes negotiation. That knows you have a desire, and sometimes they also have their own desires. But when you step foot down and you're like, you know what? Yeah, I want you to turn into very good citizens, so I'm not going to give you everything that you need. I'm not going to allow your tantrums to just melt my heart so that I will allow you to do anything that you want. I will create some boundaries. I will tell you don't go to this place. You don't do this with so and so. You don't say this. You don't. And if you want to hate me, but my desire for you, I'm not deciding according to emotions. Oh, they will feel bad if they will feel let down if I don't let them do this. And like, no. When your body asks you for things, you have to learn to negotiate with yourself. And you're like, you know what? No, I'm not taking that chocolate. Not today. I'm not taking so many times. I have haggled. I have negotiated with my body, with my cravings, with my desires. And I'm like, what have I done to lose the 30 kilos that I have lost? That has been negotiation every single day. Negotiation, tough negotiation. And I'm like, you know what? No. I will not have the carbohydrates for this for these 2 weeks. I'm not going to do any intake of carbohydrates. I love posho more than anything in the world. And the greatest temptation, don't bring anything else. The greatest temptation I will ever have on earth is posho. Even the people at home know it. Make it, don't show it to me. Because again, my children love it as well. And my scary, the cook, the nanny, they all love it. So every time they have to make it, I have to look the other way. Because when I see it like this, just best believe I'm taking a portion of it. And sometimes just a portion is not enough, because then that's when you fall into the ditch of, let me just have for today. And then for today, you end up having a half kilo, because you're having for today, and I will not have it because you have starved yourself of it for a very long time, and now you feel like jumping in and having all of it. And now you have to negotiate with yourself and say, I love ice cream, guys. I love ice cream. I love chocolate. Like all the things that I'm not supposed to have. Like chocolate fudge, the cake. Oh my God. If you give it to me, I think take the whole world away. I will be good to go. But again, I will have to negotiate and say, I'm going to this birthday party. I'm not eating the cake. I'm not having sugar. I'm not having the carbohydrates. I'm doing meat, and even with the meat, I'm doing lean meat. So you realize that you are negotiating with yourself all the time to make sure that that you actually get to the wealth that you want. The third point, Okay, because the reason as to why I'm even starting with explaining it before I even bring it is because so many of us have taken it as a cliche for so long when someone says fear of failure, because then you're like, I don't fear failing. I love I love winning. I might as well do anything. But again, we find ourselves not doing anything at all because we are held by fear. Okay, and sometimes we don't know that fear is actually holding us because you're like, you know what? When I start something, I want to be positive. I want to think I'm going to win. But so many times our minds think in the negatives. So now we think, what if? What if it doesn't work out? What if I embarrassed myself? What if, okay? So we overanalyze. What if I make mistakes? We fear taking risks. What if it backfires? What if it doesn't work out the way I want it to work? So it paralyzes you and it prevents you from exploring any kind of opportunities that exist out there. You're like, you know what? It's possible I will start on it and then I will not finish. How many of us have not started businesses because we think I might start this business and then might not work out, and there are so many people that are doing the same business, and then just me putting myself out there. Some people have not created personal brands because they're like, now everyone is going to see me. I really want to be a private person. No. It's not because you want to be a private person. It's because you fear failure and you fear embarrassing yourself. And so you're thinking, I put myself out there and people don't like my content. I put myself out there and no one follows me. I put myself out there and no one enjoys my content. That will be embarrassing. So I am paralyzed. I will stay in the same lane. But every time I scroll and see other people, I'm like, how do they do it? And then I'm like, but even so and so started just recently, just last month. And see, they are actually making it. But every time there is a way we feel like other people are privileged, other people can make it, but I think it's just me. I am doomed and I think I will not make it. Do you see what we do? We berate ourselves all the time. We arrive late on the scene. And then after that, you decide after a year and then you start catching up. I usually tell people, even for the people that are signing up for accelerated mentorship, and I tell them that the best time for anyone to sign up for this mentorship should have been 10 years ago. But the next best time is now. Now. Do not let fear paralyze you. Do not let fear hinder you from exploring any opportunities that are out there that you would actually want to get on. Let's do number 4 because I want to run very fast. We are running out of time. The inability to see opportunities with our minds. The inability to see opportunities. But you know what hinders us from seeing the opportunities? Is the obstacles, okay? The obstacles that we see around the opportunity. Recently, a lady reached out to me and was like, you know what, I would want to do this conference with you. And then I was like, you know what, I calculated the cost, the obstacles. You know, I would have to do this and then I would have to do that and then I would have to do that. How many of us have done that? Even just about a promotion. And you're like, oh my God, there's so many needs and so many demands in that department. Then I would have to do that. I would have to wake up early. I would have to make calls on time. I would have to give my reports to so and so, and then you look at all the obstacles instead of seeing the opportunity. While the people, the unstoppable people, see the opportunity and they're like, you know what, these obstacles are not going to hinder me. I'm going to do whatever it takes for me to actually get to that opportunity. So you realize they see the opportunities while everyone else is seeing the obstacle around it. Okay? Others are looking at, have you seen people who go looking for treasure hunts in movies? And I mean, most of them are lured by the treasure. They're looking at the treasure and they're willing to go through the highs and the lows, to navigate the oceans, to stay away from their families for months. But they are seeing the opportunity. They're like, if I can get it, my life will turn around. If I can get it, so now they're not looking at the possibility of them dying. They're not looking at the possibility of them being betrayed. They're not looking at the possibilities of failing on the mission. They're not looking at all those things. So if you want to raise good children, you want to build a sweet marriage, you want to be able to get closer to God, you realize that everything you want to do has an obstacle, a ring obstacle around it. I mean, who enjoys fasting? I don't enjoy fasting, but I must be able to fast. I must be able to put my body down in order to even create any closeness that I need to feel with God and to beat my body, my desires, my everything down so that I will kill this body and everything will be to the glory of God. Is that easy? It's not easy. How many of us want to eat healthy? No, I don't enjoy eating healthy. Why? Eating leaves and eating raw, things, and just eating just small pieces of meat and then dealing away with carbohydrates. But that is a choice you make because you're like, you know what? There's so many obstacles to losing the weight. There's so many obstacles to who wants to go to gym. I've told you, I've driven to gym sometime and I just sit in the car and then I bargain with myself, and sometimes the bad side wins, and all of a sudden I'm like, you know what, ignition again, make an about turn, you drive home, and then it just feels good. Sit with the children, have something to eat, go to the fridge, get something cold. But at what price? That's a huge price. Okay, so you realize that everything that you will ever get. Remember the 5 pillars of wealth. That God include your spiritual maturity as well, your relationships, your work, doing what you love. That is what we do in the mentorship. Okay, we actually dwell on the 5 pillars, the 5 pillars of wealth. Your finances, we don't leave them behind. Business, how to market, how to position yourself, the strategies and everything. So how to create a good relationships. You can never thrive in your business if you're doing bad at relationships. You can never thrive in your relationships if you're doing bad in your spiritual maturity and your growth. So you realize that we need all the 5 facets in order to grow. But again, they are surrounded. They are in the snares. And sometimes the obstacles look too huge that we forget about the opportunity altogether. I need you to set your eyes on the prize. If you want the wealth, set your eyes on the prize. There is no obstacle that is too huge that cannot be overcome. If other people have overcome them, I can, and so can you. Okay, so I need you to have a positive mindset. Okay, so I need to end this inviting you to join Accelerated Mentorship. Let's grow together. Let's transform the world. Let's make wealth. Let's make better marriages. Let's bring up good children. And let's grow into happiness and happiness and happiness. Okay, the numbers are on your screen. Just WhatsApp me, mentor me, send me, mentor me. And I will send you the details of how you can get into the mentorship. From me to you is I love you and God bless you.